Today we're going to be talking about art school, as if we ever talk about anything else on this channel. If you don't know me, I'm an illustration student here in Montreal. Today I want to give you my 2 cents on whether it's even worth it to go to art school. In answering the question, do I really need to go to art school in order to pursue an artistic career or become an official artist? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no. It actually boils down to other questions like, why do I want to go to art school? Do I want to work with galleries? Do I want to sell my own personal craft? Do I know what kind of styles I'm interested in? Do I want to just do a series of professional commissions? Do I want to be hired to design posters and billboards and ads? Do I want to work on a graphic novel? Do I want to work in animation? Do I want to do video games? There's so many options out there nowadays. You can enroll in a very specific type of art program. I've actually been enrolled in art school twice. The first time I was enrolled in a visual arts program in Spain for about a year and a half. And that's where I kind of got to explore and learn a little bit about the fundamentals. I worked on things like proportion, values, perspective, touched a little bit on color theory, experimented with a variety of mediums. We did things like sculpture, which honestly I wasn't the biggest fan of. We learned to do the thing where you use your pencil to kind of calculate your proportions. Finally understood why the people were going like this all the time when they were drawing, so that finally made sense for me. That was pretty cool. We also got to learn a little bit about art history, did a couple museum outings. It was a pretty good way to gain a solid artistic base. Yeah, let's call it that. But honestly, back then I was fresh out of what you would consider middle to high school level. So I was already kind of drawing in my regular classes, and I already noticed that that was kind of the next logical step in kind of furthering my education. Because you know, when you're 16, 17, your kind of teachers and peers and your family kind of start asking you things like, so what are you gonna do next? What college are you gonna go to, and what are you gonna pursue, you know? And me being an artist, I really wanted to buy me some time where I focused on the things that I already kind of felt comfortable doing and that I kind of wanted to know a little bit more of. So the next predictable step in my case was getting into an art program. That being said, could I have just taken a year off and focused on learning those skills on my own? I mean, me personally, no, because I don't have the discipline to do that. It's like when you take a gap year, it really kind of forces you to reflect on your life and kind of think, what the am I doing with my life? Right. So I've already been to school, then I wasn't in school, and I decided to go back to school. So why did I decide to go back to school? Well, I got a job in customer service. So if that's not an eye-opener, I don't know what is. I really thought hard about where I would see myself in the future, and I was like, okay, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. It's the only thing that kind of like resonates with me, right? So I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, I know how to draw decently. At that point I was taking on some portrait commissions. I just started getting into tattooing, so I was like, okay, do I see myself as a tattoo artist, or do I see myself forever taking commissions? And I've always kind of been a little bit indecisive, you know? So I really like kind of sat down with myself and was like, what do you really enjoy drawing? And I would always find myself kind of doodling these little daily comics, and I noticed that the thing I like to do most is draft things out, but not necessarily render. I discovered that I don't really get attached to my art. I'm not the kind of person who will spend like a bunch of hours on a painting and then have an attachment to that painting. If someone sees that painting and offers to buy it, I'll be like, let's go. I don't know, a lot of people will be like, oh no, I can't, that's my baby. Not me. I don't have that maternal instinct towards my painting. I don't have that bond. So I started looking into careers that suited that aspect of my creative process. and I stumbled upon storyboarding, and I was like, yes, it's perfect. But then I took a closer look and I realized that I was lacking some fundamentals. So in order to be a great storyboard artist, you need to perfect things like perspective, anatomy. You kind of need to have a basic understanding of values, composition, camera angle, all these things that I didn't realize would be so important to master. So at least that was a hint. And I was like, okay, but what if I try this thing out and it turns out that it's not what I want to do? So I started looking for programs that kind of had a little bit of everything, just so I could like try a bunch of different things out and see what sticks. I wanted to touch a little bit on photography. It always kind of interested me, and I saw that in learning photography, you got a really great understanding of light, values, and composition. Even if I don't pursue photography after I try it, at least I'll gain those skills. I'll gain that knowledge. Digital painting. Had no idea how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, any of that stuff. So I was like, okay, I need someone to feed me this information to at least get up to date, because everybody in the art industry is super familiar with Photoshop. Like, it's their go-to tool, you know? In my personal experience, I realized that I was kind of falling behind when it came to navigating certain programs and softwares, things like Photoshop. Like, I didn't really know how to navigate Photoshop or Procreate or how to even use a tablet. Like, I had a tablet, I just didn't know what to do with it. I know that there's so many videos out there teaching you these things nowadays. And that's when I realized I'm not really a very motivated or self-disciplined person to teach those things to myself. I kind of needed someone to hold me accountable. I needed to learn, and I needed those projects and deadlines that were fed to me in order to make sure that I was doing that. So after you assess your artistic skill level, ask yourself, what kind of person am I? Am I the kind of person who is able to find out what appeals to them and is willing to pursue that on their own terms? Or am I the type of person who needs to be held accountable by other people, such as teachers and peers, in order to make sure that I'm actually doing those things? That's when I realized that maybe for me, it would be more beneficial to enroll into another art program, a program that explored more things than just the fundamentals. Where am I going with this? Before going to school, you have to do a little bit of research into the program that you want to go into and see if the outcome is something that you want to pursue upon graduating. If that program is going to help you gain the experience necessary for you to build a solid portfolio and start accepting work. I'm gonna try my best to help you break things down in order to see if that's kind of a path that suits you. If you decide to go back to school, just kind of think, because having a diploma, if you don't consider yourself ready to take on work, doesn't really mean anything. That's why a lot of people are self-taught and are thriving, because when people need a project done, they look at what you're producing, they look at your skill set, they look at your style, they look at your technique, and they see if all those things fit the project that they're interested in developing. So that's usually what people will hire you based on, you know? So in that sense, you don't really need school. You can just pursue that information on your own. It's just a matter of being disciplined, having great time management skills, holding yourself accountable, hitting those milestones that you set out for yourself, you know, and seeking out that feedback from other professionals, putting yourself out there and doing all the networking yourself, promoting your artwork, all these things that enable you to perform well and deliver the highest quality of work to your client or your employer. And the reason that I personally decided to go back to school is because I wanted to take some limited time in order to like up my game, you know, in order to perfect my drawing skills. And school fit in perfectly with my life in that moment, because school right now is a few years where I'm investing all my time, my money, all my effort into working on my artistic growth. So for these few years, all I'm doing is focusing on getting better at art. I'm kind of setting a boundary where I am kind of like enclosing myself in this bubble, in this like time capsule where I'm compressing, assimilating all this information, putting it into practice effectively and quickly in order to like force myself to speed up this like growth period, this process. When you're self-taught, you can kind of take it easy. You can kind of like go at your own rhythm. You can also use the structure they use at school, intertwine that with your lifestyle, but the key ingredient there is that you stay persistent and that you push yourself and hold yourself accountable in order to like make sure that that growth is happening. Does that make sense? Is that everything I wanted to say? Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I hope this made sense. This is kind of like my experience navigating, what do you even call this? This artistic growth throughout my life. School is something that helps me make sure I get things done. Other people, they can get things done on their own. So find what works for you and go at your own pace. Do what you need to do to grow into the artist you want to become. I wish you all the best of luck in your journey, and I would love to know how you feel about this topic in the comment section down below. Good luck. Bye.